You're watching Point and Click, the computer technology show on Time Warner 13. Tonight, Nancy Roberts and Chuck Swanson will review online security websites. Call with your questions and comments. Point and Click is brought to you in part by Icon Office Solutions and Technology Services, and by Time Warner's Roadrunner High Speed Online. Set design and fabrication by Phil Green Cabinet.
Welcome to Point and Click. This is the show that helps you solve your PC problems. We hope, anyway. I'm Nancy Roberts, and with me, of course, is Chuck Swanson, our PC expert for tonight. He's actually a PC expert every night, aren't you, Chuck?
Yes.
And tonight we are going to review some of the websites that allow you to surf the net anonymously. We'll also give you some tips on how to protect yourself and your personal information while you're online. Anyway, as we move into the 21st century, more and more people are shopping, banking, communicating, and doing just about everything online. With all this activity, of course, comes a greater risk that your personal information could be stolen. Well, what can you do to protect yourself while you're online? Tonight we're going to give you some websites and some tips that will help make your web surfing safer and protect you from online fraud. So we're going to show you a couple of websites. Actually, there are a few different ways to go about this. And so we're going to show you 3 of them anyway, but there are many, many of these. And you do a search and you're going to turn up all kinds of different choices. And one of the choices, which is kind of interesting, is you can get your ISP and your cloaking device, for a better lack of a better way to express it, you can get them together. So you can register for an internet service provider, which also offers you this anonymity protection. So that's one way of doing it. Anyway, we came up with some sites that we kind of like, and I guess we're going to start with the. Well, you know what I'm going to do first? Let's do this first, Chuck. One of them, which is called silentbrowser.com, has got an interesting piece of software attached to it, which analyzes your security situation. It tells you what information your computer is giving up to the server, which means anybody can get any of that information. Mm-hmm. And this is what we turned up. It takes about maybe 2 to 3 minutes in a fast connection. And this is what we came up with. It is telling us our browser type and operating system, all the information that was sent by the web browser when requesting a particular web page, which will change from web page to web page, asks if JavaScript, VBS script, and so forth are enabled, shows you the actual enabling code. Traceroute tells you how many hops and where they were for this computer to get. Where your domain is registered, who's registered it, tells you the name of your system administrator, if that information is available, how your domain is configured, records, who owns your network, okay?
Yes.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah, now, most of the time...
And remember, this is probably a reasonably secure one because it's a company network, so it's got some security built into it. Your home computer probably doesn't have that much.
Now, most of the time, that's good that they find out all this information so they can display the information to you appropriately. So if you want animation, right, graphics.
That's right.
But
there's an upside and a downside to everything, as always with computers. And that's just to give you an idea of the kind of information that's being requested, given, turned over to the web page that you request when you type in your URL or you go to a web link. All right. And now we're going to look at some ways that you can. I'm going to open these all up, and we'll start with anonymizer.com because this is probably one of the better known ones. These are some ways that you can protect yourself from that, and you can surf the web and move around, do FTP, all that sort of thing, anonymously. Anonymizer.com is one of these, and it's a subscription-based service. You pay them a certain amount of money, and they give you certain levels of protection. They will give you a free trial, so you can check it out and see what you think. And the basic service is available, they call it Anonymous Web Surfer, for $14.99 for 3 months. I don't know why they price it the way they do, but that's the way it's priced, which is kind of interesting. It blocks cookies, Java, JavaScript. It's all web-based. You don't have to do anything. So essentially what you're doing is you're logging on to their server, and then it's protecting you from any further servers that you engage with.
Yes.
And they're partnered with McAfee, but essentially it's anonymizer.com that offers this product.
Now, what about speed, though, Nancy? Because you got to go through these people. And
Well,
I mean, if
you got two downsides.
Yeah.
One of them you've already mentioned, which is that when you disable certain cookies, Java, JavaScript, so on and so forth, what you're going to do is you're going to limit what you're going to be able to see on that page. Now, some of this, of course, you can also do yourself. If you don't want to see images to make your web surfing faster, you can turn them off at the browser level as well.
Sure.
But this disables the types of things that are going to ask for and get information that's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, it can slow it down. From the standpoint of you're going through somebody else's server, what's the server traffic like? If they've got a lot of people logged on, it can bog down your response time.
Especially if they're going through a modem connection. Maybe it's not as bad through like cable modem or something.
Yeah, we're kind of spoiled. We don't see the picture that many, in fact, most people are hooked up these days with a 56K modem, and that can be a little bit slower, and this will add to the time it takes for you to move around. They have two other levels of protection, one that they call anonymous secure tunneling for $29.99, and for $59.99 you get anonymous dial-up, and this is one of those dial-up services where you actually use their ISP and do everything anonymously.
Yes, basically when you're tunneling, they're taking your information and putting a wrapper around it, and then when it's received on the other side, they can unwrap it, so almost like a gift. So then it's very difficult for people to find out where you're coming from. But what about the legal issues, Nancy, with using these? I mean, what happens if somebody attempts to do bad things, break into websites?
This is no protection. What is it they say? Ignorance is no protection under the law. Well, this is no protection under the law either. This is you still are responsible for what you do. So they can
like subpoena records and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. These are not. I mean, they will protect. They're designed to protect you from the bad guys, not to make you a bad guy.
Make you a bad guy. Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Pretty much everything can be turned around, but it's one of the wonders of the web. Yeah, it's not going to be a defense.
Okay.
For sure.
It wasn't me, right?
Right, exactly. I didn't do it.
Okay.
Here's another one. This one's called The Cloak. This one's free, and will essentially do the same kind of thing. It will selectively, this is what I kind of like about this one, user configurable content filtration. It'll selectively remove the items that you don't want. So you can kind of set it up to do it the way you want it to do so that you can get the things you want and not get the things you don't want. And it is absolutely free. They have a little disclaimer here, which is kind of what you were talking about. You may not use the Cloak for any illegal purposes. For the transmission of or receipt of illegal material, you can't violate copyright. You can't use it to spam. It's telling you all the things that you really aren't supposed to do, and that you agree to that once you sign up with the Cloak. Okay, that's another one that's available to you. And here's the one that Silent Browser. That's the one we kind of started with because this is the one that shows you what will happen if you don't have this kind of protection. And Silent Browser is also free. And again, it's another system where you simply go through their website to get to you go through their server to get to the rest of the web, and it's basically the same system.
Same type of concept, yeah.
On all of them, and as we said, a couple of them are free. One of them you pay a little bit of money for.
Now, just to clarify with our viewers, because we've at the end of last year we did some demos on like black ice and personal firewalls, and we sent people to grc.com, the Gibson research site, and that is a little bit different than what we're doing here, because sometimes people get that confused. And the grc.com website, the Gibson research site, finds out if people can get into your system, whether or not you have some
and mess around with your
Yes, and you can set up what they call a personal firewall to block them from entering your system, for example, at home. Here, what we're doing is not even giving anybody that ammunition to know anything about us, so that they can't even attempt to get
the idea here is that you're invisible to
you're invisible
to whatever you go to. It can't get any information from you about who you are, where you are, how you're functioning, and as we said, just like is the case with it can limit your experience. That's the downside of it. It can slow down your experience, but it can also protect you from anybody gathering information
Yes,
about it.
because when you did that trace earlier on, when they show that trace route command,
Right.
that actually shows that you're coming from the Syracuse area.
That's right.
I mean, they may not know specifically within Syracuse, but they can narrow it down and find
Got a
other
pretty
clues.
good idea.
There are ways on the internet to figure out, based on your email address and so forth, whereabouts you are, what you're using. So with these anonymizer type programs, they don't even know what part
Is
of
this
the world
something
you're
you'd
coming from.
feel that was a necessity for your web browsing?
Well, here's the deal. The problem is if you have already been surfing for years on the internet and you already
They
signed
already
up with a
know
service
everything
provider,
about you.
many people already know everything about you. It'd be ideal if you were just starting off browsing, brand new, to start from scratch, or maybe sign up with a new mail account.
Right. Start a new
and then-
account and do it under an anonymous.
Yeah, for example, the service provider allowed you to set a multiple mail account, so maybe start using that one. But then again, now you're into the issue where everybody knows your email. So,
Okay.
right in the beginning would be the best time to start this.
Great. Well, we've also got some tips for you to keep in mind when you're surfing the net, and we want you to take a look at those. These are things that aren't necessarily to do with your anonymity, but just your general safety online, because let's face it, we're doing a lot of stuff online. So let's take a look here. We want you to use your credit card online. If you're going to use your credit card online, make sure you know how the business protects its customers' credit card number database. Don't send bank account numbers, social security number, or passwords through email, because email is easily gotten into. Don't use your name, birth date, or initials in your password. Don't do anything that's really obvious with your password. Use numbers, uppercase and lowercase letters and symbols. In other words, make it something that people aren't going to be able to figure out easily. Change your password on a regular basis, and don't give out your social security number. Check bank and credit card statements every month and make sure there's nothing on there that looks funny. Check your credit report at least once a year. See how that is holding up. Okay, so those are all tips and links to websites that we've mentioned. You're going to find all of those on our website located at twcny.rr.com. So you can go there if you missed any of this and get more information on the subjects that we're talking about, as always. Now stay tuned, because Chuck and I will take your calls and questions right after this.